Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Suffer Up podcast with your hosts, Nate and Ryan, where our mission is to encourage and lead others to suffer with a purpose, striving to level up in life with an emphasis on spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. Before we dive into today's episode, we want to give a very special thank you to a couple of our sponsors and supporters of this channel. First of all, we want to thank you, Soft Socks. They make a compression fitting sock for your feet. They are a toe sock, and we have put hundreds of miles on them. We love them, and they help prevent blisters, and the foot to sock to shoe relationship is pleasant on those long runs. Thank you, Soft Socks. If you'd like to try a pair of Soft Socks, please click on the link tree in the description of this podcast and get you a pair. The discount code we have for them is SUFFER10 to save 10% at checkout. Thanks again, Soft Socks, for all your support. A second supporter of this channel is Miss Pam Heinold, broker at ERA American Real Estate. You can call or text her at 850-232-2332. If you are thinking about buying or selling a home or other type of property in the Florida Panhandle area, call a nationally award-winning realtor and local expert. Pam Heinold is ready and eager to help you today. Please call or text her again to talk about your real estate needs at 850-232-2332. On today's episode, we are going to be talking with Mr. Michael Kracyla, a former Army Green Beret, and we're excited to hear his story and his new business venture. Please listen in closely, guys, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Hey, Michael, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
No problem.
Pleasure being here.
Pleasure to have you. We appreciate you coming on. You and I just met recently, but after talking with you for a short period, I got the idea that you would be a fantastic guest. I wanted to hear more about your story and the business that you started, and I thought that would be excellent for our listeners to hear about as well. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. So born and raised in Delaware. Attended college in York, Pennsylvania, where I graduated in 2002. My senior year, 9/11 happened, so that left a strong impression on me. Joined the Army immediately after graduating, and I joined the Army as a Special Forces recruit and did 20 years in the Special Forces Regiment, 21 years actually. Did a lot of pretty cool things, worked with a lot of pretty cool people, and I had a blast doing it. And obviously, serving the country provided a lot of purpose to me that I definitely, as I reflect on it, it's hard to really describe, when you go to these other places and kind of, serve with, with men and women that have also raised their right hand. It was a really special time for me. Obviously, it was 20 years long, so it was a lifetime and a career, but definitely something I'm proud of. Retired last year, right out of one of our groups in the Panhandle, and since then I've had a couple different roles. Was in a franchising situation, wasn't a good fit, so I pivoted to a COO role, as I was telling you earlier, for a luxury landscaping company up in the Hamptons. I'm originally, like I said, from Delaware, so my mom had a stroke a couple years ago. We were debating going up there and help my brother, take care of her. Ultimately, decided to stay in Florida, so I pivoted out of that role. But in that role, I really learned about the skills. I kept hearing about how the skills from the military transfer into business. And I saw it firsthand because I was quoting the Army processes almost daily. And I'm not one to really do that. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is, it dawned on me that the Army is 250 years old and there's a million people in the military.
Something's
working, and they've got to have strong processes. So it kind of, it assured me and really gave me confidence in my ability, coupled with some business education that I have. So since I pivoted out of that role in late summer, I was back here in the Panhandle around Pensacola, and was just kind of hey, what's next? Just like a lot of people that are pivoting. Obviously, I'm also a year out, so it was just major transition, but not really looking to rush into anything. So I was doing a bit of networking in a true Green Beret fashion, because that's our bread and butter, is just shaking hands. And I met a gentleman that was in a space. He does some executive coaching, and specifically to small and medium-sized businesses. And he's an expert in a system that I was running as a COO. So as we got to talking, he was sitting on this business concept called Business Sergeant, and that's kind of my recent pivot in the last couple of months. So I'd be more than glad to tell you about that business, or should I wait till later?
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later on.
Okay.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about your time in the Army. So as a Green Beret, everybody thinks of Green Berets, I think, as special warfare and doing all the cool guy stuff. But you guys do a lot more than that too. Like you guys are instructors and teachers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great way to frame it. Yes, I would agree. Like, essentially what we do is we build armies or militias or start them to whatever the goals of the U.S. government are aligned with that country. That's it in a nutshell. So if post 9/11 is a perfect example. The 9/11 happened, and the first boots on the ground in Afghanistan were Green Berets. Obviously there's famous images of them on horseback with the Northern Alliance that were fighting the Taliban. So that's it in a nutshell. Is we're teachers because at a base level, teaching somebody, whether they're an existing soldier or they're, interested in becoming a soldier, that takes a lot of, ground level work, from the, all the way from the beginning to, making them an expert in their craft. So definitely, a high level of teaching that goes into that. And you quickly learn out whether you're a good teacher or not and how you need to hone your craft.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what year did you say you got in?
I got in 2003.
2003, so right when all the stuff was really kicking off.
Yeah, it was kicking off. It was actually, I waited at least 6 months to get in the Army. It was a waiting list back then to get in the Army.
Really?
That's how many people
Wow.
were joining. Yeah, it was, there was a lot of, I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm in my 40s, so it's that the sentiment back then was there was just a lot of patriotism and just kind of the country had a lot of angst as far as what happened. So there were a lot of people looking to just help out, and and that was my way of serving.
Yeah,
nice. What led you to do Green Beret over something else? I assume you went in the Army as something else to start and then transition later on.
No, it's funny. I mean, I remember I was at the dinner table with my dad. I graduated, and we just I had a finance degree, so I was I'd done an internship and really had no interest in that at the time. And I remember him looking at me and like, what do you think about joining the military? And I remember looking at him like, I never thought about that. And I mean, I'd kind of briefly talked about it, but I hadn't really, entertained it seriously. So we went and talked to some recruiters. I was actually started signing paperwork with the Coast Guard, and then I had also looked at the Air Force. And I walked into an Army recruiting station, and quite honestly, I don't even know what a Green Beret did back then. I just heard special. Anybody hears special forces or special ops, and it instantly piques their interest. Like, oh, what's that all about? So the recruiter did a good job of selling me. I may or may not have signed up for some things I didn't fully understand.
Yeah.
But quite honestly, if it was in service to the country, then I was all good with it.
Yeah.
I came in directly as a special forces recruit.
Oh, wow.
We call them SF babies, and basically, if you wash out, then you go into infantry.
Gotcha.
So like our basic training is infantry basic training, and then you start going to all the airborne school and basically our selection and then the pipeline.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Do they still do it that way?
They still
anymore?
do it. Yeah, they're always tweaking it. It still does exist. A sizable amount of our recruits come through that. So
Gotcha.
Part of that, being on podcasts like this is just, I'm happy to tell people about what a Green Beret or U.S. Army Special Forces is, because a lot of people don't know that, and I think it's a very critical part of what our military does. So I can be a recruiter of sorts just by spreading the word and letting people know, hey, this is what we do. If you think it's cool, then we're available for more questions, so to speak.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they had that option to come in that fashion. I thought that you had to be signed up as something else like infantry or mechanic or something, and then you had to get selected for that program.
No, you can do either or. So you can be, prior service and then drop your packet, or you can just come straight in. So it's I don't know what the mix is, but there's a sizable part of our community that are SF babies.
Did you ever have the opportunity while you were in to go back to that training pipeline and be an instructor throughout that at all?
Not that particular pipeline. I was an instructor. I actually went from being an enlisted medic on a team, so I did that about half my career. And then the second half, I transitioned over to a warrant officer. So on our teams, it's either the deputy commander or the commander, depends on if you have a captain at the time. In that role as a warrant, once I finished my team, the warrants get more team time. It's you get an additional 5 years as a warrant. So it's if you like being on a team, that's what a lot of guys they go that route. So it was a great time. Really being on the teams is why I joined. After my time as a warrant on a team, then I had the honor to serve as an instructor for similar folks that were going from enlisted to warrant. So pretty rewarding time as an instructor, because you're helping people make that transition. Mm-hmm. Specifically, whether you're talking about enlisted to a quote unquote officer, you're really talking about helping people that are a member of the team, but now you're stepping into formal leadership on a team. So and that's a big mental transition for people.
How many tours did you do overseas?
Define overseas? So deployments wise, total deployments. I think I was either 11 or 12.
Oh wow,
something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was.
I know you can't share a lot, but what would be one of your more memorable deployments that you can talk about for our listeners?
Oh, wow, that's great. Yeah, this is an interesting. These are always interesting questions for me, because the nature of what we do, and as far as what I can share, ones that stick out to me, quite honestly, my last rotation in Afghanistan sticks out to me. That was 2017, 2018. And I say that because we had a great team and a lot of trust, a lot of love in the room. I was also on that team. The other leaders on that team were like basically my best friends. So that was
awesome.
A pretty cool experience to guys I've known those gentlemen for 10 or 15 years at that point. And now we're all, basically leading this team. And we were down in Helmand on that one, and that was a interesting time frame because Trump had taken office, and it was we were bringing the mantra, if you remember from that time frame, is we were trying to get the Taliban to come to the negotiating table. So it was full pressure on that regime. So we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's fair.
A lot of fun.
Well, good. That's awesome. Well, thank you for your service dedication in that capacity. And every vet that I've ever talked to would say that if they could do it over again, they would definitely do it again. It sounds like you would. I really enjoyed your time in that capacity. So
yeah, no doubt, in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It's all worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Very cool.
Well, that's cool. The reason I was asking about if you ever had an instructor duty is because just from talking with you the other day and then talking with you this morning before we recorded, I just get the sense that you're just such a natural teacher and instructor, leader, and that you just genuinely want to help people grow and succeed, which ties in really well with the new venture that you guys have started.
Yeah.
It seems like it's the perfect role for you just from the little bit of time that we've known each other.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of fortuitous how things have come along for me in the last couple of months. So yeah, I would agree. Thank you for the compliment. As far as if you think I'd be a good teacher, it's something that as a former instructor, I'm used to having you stand up in front of a classroom of call it 30 or 40 Green Berets, you better know your stuff, so they can cut through the BS, or if you're being just kind of a jerk, or just in general you don't know what you're talking about, they will call you out for sure. So
absolutely,
definitely refining that, but ultimately if you know your craft as an instructor and you come across from a good place, specifically if you want the best for your students and you're setting them up for success, then it kind of just it works out. So that's kind of the I'd say the philosophy behind it.
Yeah, I think the posture of your heart really shows through no matter what. You can kind of BS your way through a lot of stuff, but if you don't actually care about the people that you're teaching, then it's going to be obvious.
Yeah, no doubt. And one of the hardest lessons that I learned as an instructor is, I'm kind of you want to see all the students succeed.
Mm-hmm.
There was some times where, it's as an instructor, it's kind of like being a coach or being a parent. You want this person to do these things. You got all the best intentions, but ultimately, if they don't want it, then, the saying, and we had it up on our wall as instructors. You'd walk in. It's the first thing you'd see as you walk in the instructor hooch is you can't want it more than they do, and that was a very difficult lesson to learn as an instructor. Because you're trying to get them to what in your mind is where they need to be, but ultimately everybody's path is different and everybody's journey is different. Specifically, when you're stepping into leadership, and some people need to learn lessons in various ways, and that to me was a little bit challenging for me to accept. But over time, it's just kind of you learn it and you learn to accept it and respect it, and then ultimately you just do what you can, and things will sort out for the students as they will.
It's a really good point too. You said that phrase that you said that was in your instructor. You called it a hooch, but there was a phrase that I've been told before, and it resonated with me. And I put it up at my old firehouse. Was you can't teach passion. Like you can have all the passion you want in the world, and you can share your passion with other people. But passion, or like just that want to be that much better to whatever level you set, it's really hard to teach that into somebody. And everybody has different passions and different levels. So
yeah, no doubt. I think as a leader, it's important to tap into that kind of passion. Though. Yeah. So you can take that as a challenge as a leader, as an instructor. Is if I'm not tapping into that passion, maybe I need to redirect how I'm talking to this person. So and that comes into you had mentioned like just having what's in best interest for somebody, just getting to know somebody and seeing what ticks, what makes them tick, and then you can kind of tailor your approach to them. To me as a small group leader for, I had out of that group of say 30 or 40, I would take 6 or 7 and they're my small group. I get to know them a little bit better than a group of 40. It's, sometimes more difficult.
Absolutely.
Even, that course was somewhere between 4 and 5 months long. So you get to know people, but obviously, you don't know your neighbors as well as you know your family. So that smaller group just gives you more time and ability to get to know them. And then, just, if it's in the vein of making them a stronger leader and making them a better soldier, then that to me is a natural progression as an instructor, is to just find ways to be more effective.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
I think we need to put all this instructorship to the test one day and get out to the pool. That's where Michael and I met, and we need to get Nate in the water and instruct him a little bit. He needs some work.
Okay.
Well, I can swim. It's just not like this goldfish over here.
Yeah. So I almost hopped in on his lane.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. So there was an older woman swimming next to him, and I was just about to hop in the lane he was in. I couldn't see him.
Yeah.
And she's like,
I was doing underwater.
Yeah, he was underwater the entire time, and she's like, somebody's in that lane, and I'm like, looking. I'm like, I don't see anybody, and then I see a head pop up at the far end of the lane.
Oh man.
And then he did it again coming back, as I was like, I just happened to say like, hey man, I almost hopped in your lane, and probably we would have ran into each other.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
It dove in on top of me.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's perfect. Are you a pretty decent swimmer?
I'd say okay.
Okay.
I taught myself how to really swim in the Army.
Oh, sure.
So I kind of knew growing up how to not drown.
Yeah, that's fair. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, YouTube has helped me out as far as like actually learning how to swim, and it's been really fun recreationally, just turning laps and things like that.
Yeah. Have you done any triathlons or anything like that?
No, I was man, that's a sour point for me. I was looking forward to that in as I was coming off a team. I came off a team, and after that last Afghanistan rotation that I did in 2018, and right before then I had started getting some knee pain, and then I had a couple surgeries, and ultimately wasn't able to run. Haven't been able to run in a couple years at this point. Yeah. So it took the triathlon thing away from me. I was super stoked because I was starting to train for it on a team. With the running was never really an issue. Swimming would have been an issue for me. I started getting into biking. It was really like I really enjoy endurance style stuff. So that's been part of as you get older, you get to kind of accept those kind of things in life, and specifically within that career field, it kind of beats your body up over time. So but yeah, we'll see. I haven't given up on it, but maybe the next surgery will get the pain out of there, and
There you
Maybe.
go.
and I'll see.
If nothing else, you could do a duathlon. I know
Okay.
that the triathlon that I did my first one this year,
Okay.
and it was over in Orange Beach, Alabama,
Oh, nice.
pretty close to us.
Yeah.
And they have a duathlon
Okay.
option, so you could do the swim and bike.
Okay.
So nothing else. We'll get you out there next year and do
Yeah,
that one.
you know what? I got one more surgery. I think I'm debating because I was on the verge of like considering a knee replacement.
Yeah.
And my doc was like, you should just try to get, because I've got another tear in it, and you should just get one more. And I'm like, really? Because I can't even bike now because the tear's on the backside. It's been super frustrating for me. But part of that is just that to me, you talk about like how to learn and grow. Like that's been part of my journey, is just things that I took for granted when I was younger, which was just, I'm just gonna go out for a run now. I'm just gonna go out for a bike. Like those have slowly been taken away from me. So that can that's definitely been a challenge and a learning point for me as a person.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're still getting out to the pool and staying active somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, it's something. I'm still happy I can still walk around. I know in our profession we got a lot of fallen soldiers and friends, and people that are missing limbs or missing eyes. So like my struggles are pretty light compared to that. So but definitely would like to hop out on a run every once in a while. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll heal up
one day at a time, right?
Yeah. So the current project that you are working on, you mentioned it earlier, Business Sergeant. What tell us more about that? What is that?
Yeah, so Business Sergeant, in a nutshell, it is a way to provide free business training, and to specifically for vets or active duty. We want to help out folks that are still in that. Maybe they need just a little bit of translation of their skills from active duty to business, and that maybe don't want to go to college or business school or whatever it is. So we can provide that free business training, and then we can also help place them in roles, and then ultimately help them with backside support once they're in the role as a sounding board of sorts. So came upon the idea, like I was starting to tell you, bumped into my partner as I was doing some networking. He was sitting on he had developed a course for he's an executive coach, so developed this course, and he was kind of seeing how to insert it into the market. And we got to talking. He's also a fellow vet, and we were just like, man, this would be fantastic for vets to give this course away to vets, and then also provide that sense of community, because a lot of it of Business Sergeant is also having been out a year and just kind of what my eyes and ears tell me is there's a lot of vets that are still struggling. That's no that's no surprise to anybody. So if we can provide some training where we can bring value to our vets, as far as instilling that confidence, giving them some of those hard skills, because the saying is the military gives you about 80 to 90%. As you transition, really, we're looking to help fill that extra, 10 to call it 10 or 20%.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is in the form of business training. And really, it also, what it does is it boosts confidence in folks, and like, hey, you already know this. This is just something the Army called it this. This is something that's inside of you, and we can help. With that, it's literally a translation service of sorts, but it's also instilling confidence. I've had a couple conversations in the past couple of weeks where folks are they just need to believe in themselves, quite honestly. So, and then once they get placed, just being able to reach back and having a community of sorts that can people that have lived and breathed the service. That's very important, because vets, we're just drawn to each other, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And it's it's something that I think can help out a lot of people as far as the community aspect. So definitely, whether it's the business training or the quote unquote community, or really we're looking to focus on wellness as well, as we grow and our network strengthens. And that's really going to be a focus on ours. Myself and my business partner are very focused on wellness, whether it's physical, mental, or spiritual. And I think that's going to provide a lot of value to people.
That's awesome.
That is great. You said something there that was, I don't know, a little light bulb moment for me. That a lot of the stuff that we learned is applicable and is the same. Like, we already know it. It's just been rebranded for the military and then rebranded for civilian life. And that was something that took me a little while to figure out, but it was like, man, I feel like I know what I'm doing, but I haven't learned this stuff, but I have. I learned it in the military and we called it different stuff, but in reality, you're still leading the same, in the same manner, in a civilian setting. So that's a really good way of putting it, just being the translator for people, helping them realize that they do have the skills that they need. They just didn't know that they had them.
Yeah. So what's great about Business Sergeant right now? We've only been around a couple weeks, so we're still, just like any other startup, we're still figuring out our way. But when I saw this course that my business partner had developed, I was like, man, this is golden. And secondly, it is literally a translation of sorts from military to civilian. So I think, just offering that free course to vets. And then on top of that, we also offer weekly live sessions with myself and with my business partner. Most people probably want to talk to, I basically MC for my business partner because, well, I've got some chops, leadership wise in the Army, and also some leadership outside of the Army. In reality, he's been doing, executive coaching for decades at this point. So, I think the combination of what he brings and what I bring, specifically when you talk about, I've got a pretty strong network in special ops. So business sergeant is going to be, we're not going to exclude any vets, but we're gonna definitely be, a heavy focus on special ops. That's for sure. Just nature of my network.
On your people, yeah,
my people. And then what he brings to bear as far as his coaching. I think when the combination of that two can definitely help a lot of folks. And it's 100% free to vets.
Oh,
so
awesome.
part of going on podcasts, such as Suffer Up, is just letting people know, hey, there's no gimmicks, there's nothing going on for the vets. Like, this is 100% free to be able to level them up, make them feel confident in what they've already got, help them fill in some gaps. And really, the course that's been developed, it's just the beginning. So we're going to take feedback, and really the community will help us shape what the future offerings are. Something that's near and dear to my heart, like, for example, the course has 6 modules. When I was an instructor, I was a targeting instructor. I feel very passionate about targeting, because if in the military, if you don't target effectively, you end up in the wrong place at the wrong time. So you're either wasting time or you're putting people in harm's way that they don't need to be in. So the targeting, I bring it up because it directly translates into business goals, because targeting is really about identifying targets. So you can do that in professionally or personally. It's about prioritizing those goals. It's about developing those goals, and it's about further assessing those goals. So it's just a continuous loop, and it just never ends. It never ends. So whether you're on deployment, that cycle never ends. And in life, when you're talking about goal setting and prioritizing your goals and developing them, those things, they never end. So professionally and personally, that's something it hasn't been developed yet, but I get excited when I talk about the future targeting module.
So there's a future module coming.
Yeah. So but that's the kind of stuff that outside of that, like, we'll look for the community to feed and tell us what they are interested in learning about. But we got a pretty good baseline course right now.
That's awesome.
So super excited about it.
Yeah, and it is 100% free. I did sign up and have started watching through some of the modules. It is extremely high quality.
Really? That's awesome.
I mean, that they've created a really, really good program. And it's not like the death by PowerPoint like I remember from the military. Your business partner, he is easy to watch and listen to, and it feels like it's like the meat and potatoes, and you're like, okay, this is actually useful. This is worth my time.
Yeah, it's heavy on leadership, but it's also goes into sales, marketing. Those are concepts that a lot of military are not familiar with and are uncomfortable with. So talk about, like, what I don't provide, my partner does. Like, he's able to fill that gap in tremendously. So there's definitely that, and then it gets into, like, strategic partnerships which is a super interesting concept for people, because those come in all shapes and sizes, as I'm sure as your podcast grows, that you're realizing.
Yeah.
So just instilling those basic concepts. And then, like I said, just seeing where Business Sergeant grows to. We have some other plans outside of where we're at right now, but that I think for the initial offering, we're in a pretty solid place, and really just focusing on building the community right now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Love it.
So I'll kind of like slight backtrack. So you just recently got out. What, are you 2 years out, you said?
Last Halloween, so about a year.
About a year?
Plus,
okay.
Yeah.
So how has your transition out of the military, and then some of the hurdles that you've experienced along that way, and how is that applying to your new business model?
Yeah, so in a lot of different ways they apply. So I got out. I was a franchise owner actually while I was still in the military, and it just there's a saying for fit. It was not a good fit for me for various reasons. So pivoted away from that. That definitely had something to do with who I wanted to be in business with, and really how I wanted to go about providing value to people's lives, so to speak. And then, as I was mentioning, I don't even remember how much I mentioned about the COO role that I did. I was placed in a COO role beginning of this year, and that company was fairly well. They were in eight figures and about somewhere between 75 and 100 people. So I got placed in that role where was learning a lot. That was luxury landscaping up in the Hamptons, which is a super interesting place.
Yeah.
And I was just I was like I said, I was seeing how my skills were directly transferring. And specifically, like I said, I've got a couple of business degrees behind my name. But what I found myself quoting was the military processes. So I'm like, this is wild how how much I already knew just from being a soldier. So that definitely as I sat in that seat month after month, I'm just like, oh, okay, this is a for real thing. I saw people that were I guess there's a lot of foundations out there helping out, but what wasn't being provided, and specifically, being put into a role as a number two in a company that large. Well, I had confidence in my skills and ability. It sure would have been nice to have a little bit of somebody to talk to, outside of just
outside of the company.
Outside of the company, yeah. So in that vein, that definitely is what business sergeant avoid that it'll look to fill as far as like that community, and then also it's free problem solving as well. So you got that backside support, and obviously if we place anybody, then we are the resource as well. Whether it's the community at large or anybody that we place, that can ping me or my partner, and we're going to help them out as best we can. But that's that to me. Those concepts are kind of at the I'd say the backdrop of what kind of helped shape Business Sergeant as we put the broad level vision together.
That's awesome. Very good.
What advice would you give to somebody that's just transitioning out of the military, and maybe looking for that career or looking to start their own thing? Do you have a specific thing that you would tell them to start with or do?
I mean, I think it starts with an honest assessment of who you are and where you're at in life. Like we all have, it's easy to say, follow your heart and that, but reality is sometimes, the situation isn't right. So I still think it's important to listen to, what your heart's telling you. I think that brought me to the Army. It's brought me where I'm at with Business Sergeant. It gives me passion and purpose when I wake up. So if you can do that, to me, driving towards that. Now there might be some hurdles or obstacles prior to getting there, but if you have a plan in place and that entails getting to doing something that you enjoy in life, or something that you can bring value to other people. Like I personally I just like helping other people. I like listening to their stories. I like helping them level up. It's just enjoyable talking to folks and seeing what they're dealing with. So to me, it has to be realistic goals. I think that's where the developing, but you can also have some short-term goals versus long-term goals. So I think setting those goals, but also it's a funny thing when you talk about listening to your heart versus listening to your mind. There's some direct conflict of interest there. So I'm not saying don't listen to your mind and don't listen to your heart, but ultimately, if you're doing something that you love, and having lived it firsthand for that long in the Army, that makes waking up and just going about your business that much easier. But it all depends. People are at different points in their life, but that would be my recommendation: is just kind of setting those near-term, short-term goals, and if they're aligned with something that brings you brings you value and makes you happy to wake up in the morning, and it's a pretty simple concept.
That's it.
Yeah. After listening to your story, I would add to what you just said with have patience, because you said it multiple times that you pivoted from one role to another, and now you've landed at business sergeant. But that didn't happen when you first got out. That took a year and some change to get to this point. But you had patience throughout that whole thing as you were kind of figuring out what you wanted and where you were going to follow your passion. And now you're here. But it wasn't an overnight thing.
Yeah, no doubt. I actually have that in my notes here as I was reading your questions. Being patient is super important in life. That's something that I struggle with. I just want results immediately, and the world doesn't work like that, obviously.
Yeah.
So patience is a virtue. Obviously, that is not any. I'm not the first one to state that. But I also think when you couple that with just being grateful in life as well, like the combination of those two things can make life a lot more rewarding. And I think that's been something that I try to focus on daily, is just waking up and being grateful for what I have and who I have in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, you hear it a lot, vets that like come out of the military, and a lot of times they went from like super structured, everything was laid out for you, everything really kind of made sense, like you knew where you're supposed to be, all those things. I know in your capacity, it sounds like there was a little bit more, like more of a dynamic role, because you're special forces, so your curriculum or day can kind of change based off the needs of the Army. But so often you hear guys that get out and they just have the sense of like loneliness. What would you say, or like what does it look like in your daily life as far as your regimen, as far as things that you do every day during that transition to really help people get out and still accomplish goals that you're now setting for yourself instead of the Army setting for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's definitely a transition from the military, as you're going from you don't appreciate the community and the structure until it's gone. And, being in special forces, structure is a little different because we're definitely more flexible and adaptable, I'd say, than most, but we're still pretty structured. I mean, we wake up, our units do PT, then we go work our, depending on whatever the training is, and then we go home. I mean, it's not, while it's different, it's not super, the concepts are not super different. I would say in transition, for me, something that's really grounded me is physical fitness. Physical fitness for me helps me out tremendously. Our bodies were made to move. They were made to move. And when we don't move, and it's, specifically when you're going in transitions like that, from where you're going from a high purpose, military's high purpose, whether you want to admit it or not, that is the ultimate purpose. Like, you are raising your right hand in service to the nation. You could argue, there's few things that are in a greater purpose than joining the military. So when that community and purpose is gone, the structure on top of that, that's a huge transition for folks.
Yeah.
So to me, what I could always fall back on is what I can control. And it's no secret that it helps you out as you age, is physical fitness. Like, physical fitness for me, whether it's just going out for a walk or going swimming and almost jumping on him, is it clears your mind.
Yep.
It keeps your body strong, and ultimately it helps out with your relationships as well, because it gives you a sense of clarity, in my opinion, and that can help out, whether it's personally, professionally, and obviously the benefits for your body. If you feel good, that's you're gonna exude that, in my opinion. So it's always been a staple in the military, and it's something that you can continue to do, even post service.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned before that you really enjoy endurance sports, right? I think that out of some of the special forces guys that I've talked to, their mind and their like capacity really kind of gravitates to endurance sports. Without, like, I know you can't talk about a bunch, but what would be a time that in your life when you really had to tap into those reserves mentally in order to overcome like a mission or something? You don't have to give the details of the mission, of course, but what are some mental tools that you use during those really hard, long suffering things when you don't know when the end is, and you have to find your way out of some sort of precarious situation?
Yeah, I mean, I guess in in the spirit of the term "suffer up," I mean, to me, what always helped me get through, whether physical pain is a part of the military, is a physical business. It's a physical industry. Specifically, as special forces, we're basically like a souped up version of infantry. So you're carrying heavy stuff for a long time. What always gave me strength was the team. The team always, like, just having folks around you. You kind of take it for granted until it's gone. I was on a team for a pretty long time, and I guess I took it for granted, quite honestly. Just the amount of energy that you get from your teammates. I think that's important. Like, they talk about, there's a joke, it's like suffer in silence. I don't know if you ever heard that in the military. So, you can, that to me is a joke, but honestly, like, that suffering, specifically whether it's, physical, or sometimes you couple physical with mental, my teammates, just be able to look over and, either, help them out if somebody's kind of, lagging behind or something, or really if I'm struggling, just hearing people reach out to me, or whether it's just like a tap on the shoulder or whatever it is. Like, there's plenty of small moments like that over the years where the team has insulated and really synergized each other to be able to accomplish some pretty cool things.
Yeah, I think a lot of times in our society now, we see people get stuck in that victim mentality, like, woe is me. And that whole concept of having the team around you, it's really hard to, like, whine and complain about my suffering when I look over to my left, to my right, and the guy next to me is going through the same thing, and he's also suffering, maybe in silence, maybe not, but you're like, well, I can't really complain because he's doing it too, and he's doing it too, and he's doing it, and it's like, man, we're all suffering through this, so we're just gonna be strong for each other.
I got a good story on that. So when I was an instructor, it wasn't even my first full class. I was just coming in. I was coming in for like the last, like the field training exercise of sorts, and I think maybe a little bit before that. And a gentleman on that team named Nick Lavery. So he's missing a leg. I believe he's still active duty, Green Beret, and he was in that team. And that part of the field training on that was we're walking miles through some pretty hilly terrain. And I was right behind him as we were walking. So if a gentleman like that's dealing with that kind of injury is putting out, then I'm going to go ahead and shut my mouth.
Yeah.
And
hard to complain.
Yeah. Like, my sore knee is not going to.
Yeah.
It's kind of not worth talking about at that point.
Not fair. His knee wasn't sore. He didn't have it.
Yeah, but I mean, just being around somebody like that that's been through something like that in life, it's super inspiring. And just the military is full of those kind of dynamics amongst our units. So definitely lessons come in all shapes and sizes, and those kind of lessons when you see other people, what they've been dealing with in life and how they've risen above. I think we can all kind of help each other out in that regard.
Yeah, the bonds that are connected under fire, so to speak, are just stronger than ever. I mean, I can think back on crews that I've had throughout my career where, we went through a really tough, I mean, it doesn't correlate to military, but a really tough fire or a really tough call or something like that, where we really had to dig in as a crew and get out of a bad situation. Those relationships are just completely irreplaceable. And I think that in lieu of the transition, which is what we were kind of talking about, and with Business Sergeant, is creating that network or that team, and so that you can still surround yourself with like-minded people that want to succeed in whatever capacity. And your business model essentially is almost encompassing that, is what it sounds like, or developing into that. And that's a really awesome and honorable thing for vets to be able to come out of a team environment and get submerged into what you're trying to do to either grow their business or, whatever capacity they want to do, and try to develop and still maintain a team. And I mean, that's almost what Ryan and I are doing. Like, he's running 100 miles in January. I think I was more excited about being there with him during that 100 miles because we get to share 50 of those miles together.
Yeah.
I'm going to have fresh legs. I'll still be up for that 24 hours with him, of course, but I'll have fresh legs. He's not going to have fresh legs, but then I get to help carry him through that time. And the relationships that are built in those really tough times are some of the strongest. And I naturally gravitate to that because some of the strongest relationships I ever had have been in very, very difficult times in my life. And now I'm almost seeking them more than I used to, where I'm like, what can we do that's absolutely insane? Because when you look back at the suffering times, you're like, that was the best time. Like, we call it the pain cave, whatever. Like, that was literally, it was the worst time, but it was also the best time. And so that's a really good testament to that, of some of the physically challenging things you've done. So
Yeah, thanks. I think sometimes, suffering's an interesting concept, whether you actively seek it. Like, you can argue, like, as humans, we're gonna suffer regardless.
Yeah.
Whether it's physically, mentally or spiritually, it's bound to happen in different, obviously different levels to that. But actively seeking it versus, life just kind of happening to you are two different things. So, but you can argue that, actively seeking that strengthens your resolve and your resilience for when, some unplanned suffering comes. So,
100%.
definitely an interesting concept as humans that we deal with.
I know.
Yeah.
And if we could just get more people to understand, like, to put themselves in a bad position, you know, like, and I mean, it's even little things. Like yesterday in Pensacola, it was like 29 degrees in the morning. I willingly went and jumped into water that had sat there all night, and I still added a whole trash can of ice. It was like 33 degrees in that water, and I sat in there for 4 minutes. That was the worst ice bath I've ever taken. But it's like, but then I got out and I'm like, man, I just did that. Like, so I don't know. It's a weird dichotomy, but I'm here for it.
Yeah. Well, you're not
cool.
the only one.
Yeah. I know. And I mean, nothing that I've done is, fails in comparison to what other people have done. And it's not really a comparison thing, but do the hard things that challenge you mentally and physically like that there's definitely a lot of growth that can be had there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 100% agree.
Yeah. So, but as far as Business Sergeant, is there anything else that you want to kind of share with our listeners as far as future pipeline opportunities, or things that you foresee, a direction that this business is going to go for you? And then you can kind of close some of that into a nice bow of how can they reach you, contact, networking, and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. So I think I've hit on, as far as like the business training and the sense of community, like, again, just to help folks out with the transition in that regard.
Yeah.
Another focus as we grow is going to be on wellness. Ryan, I can't remember if I told you in the pool or not, but my best friend, Matt Livelsberger, he's a deceased Green Beret. Now he took his life last year outside the Trump Tower with a Cybertruck. I'm sure a lot of your listeners have seen that on the news. So that was my best friend for almost 20 years. I met Matt when he was 20 years old.
Wow.
We were on a team for a pretty long time together. So, part of the focus on wellness for Business Sergeant is also, obviously, we want to, minimize those types of things happening. And specifically, when everybody knows about 22 a day for the military, or whatever the actual number is. You can argue if it's actually higher than that.
Yeah.
But the more that we can, kind of minimize those kind of things from occurring, or really just ask, why did that happen? For Matthew, as being one of his best friends, I ask myself that every day is, why did this happen? I went from, texting him one day to, that happening. So
yeah, that's tough.
So from a wellness perspective, obviously that was a wake up call for me. That kind of has, but that will help shape Business Sergeant moving forward. Is spiritually or mentally or even physically, people are suffering. So and a lot of that is just speaking up and checking in on one another. So this is super important concepts that I think need to get talked about more. Is the small check-ins, just looking for small indicators that maybe somebody's struggling, but also part of our focus on wellness is also going to be connecting the dots. So same as like I'm going to grow the community for vets, just reaching out and getting on podcasts and telling people what we're all about, to get the vets involved. Connecting the dots is also in conjunction with, nonprofits, whether it's the Green Beret Foundation or other nonprofits that want to, partner with us, and really just anybody that has best interests in mind for wellness, which there's a lot of folks doing a lot of good things.
Yeah.
We can act as a repository of sorts,
Yeah.
so a hub, and, I'll figure out how to organize that on our website or on our member boards or whatever it is, and really just have a strong focus on the wellness aspect as well.
That's fantastic.
That's really cool. Sorry to hear about your friend. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, it's something I still struggle with. Obviously not as much as his family and his widow. He also had an infant child. So, it's just super sad to see somebody that you love, do that.
Yeah.
But, we're all suffering, so.
Yeah, but you know what? What you're doing is not in vain. And what you're doing right here is going to help those, and you can honor his life through what you're doing right here. And that's fantastic, brother.
Save someone else's.
That's it.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, man. So where and how can they reach you so that we can get people plugged into Business Sergeant?
Yeah, sure. So if you just Google Business Sergeant, it comes up. We got a web page. It's getting retooled just based on, like I said, myself and my business partner have kind of shifted the initial what Business Sergeant was going to focus on, and now it's a bit of a pivot. So all that'll catch up in the coming months or so. Right now, just if you just Google Business Sergeant, and then also you can find me on LinkedIn or Business Sergeant on LinkedIn, and then my email. I guess I could put that out.
We'll put it in the description as well. But just so that way the listeners can hear the way to get in contact with you. And we'll also, again, put all your contact info, whatever you send it to us, we'll put it up for you however you want it in the description of the show notes here as a connection for us as well. And that way they can click on that and get a hold of you quite easily in the description of this. So,
wonderful. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. I look forward to, whoever reaches out, letting them know what we're all about.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. So, and also I forgot to ask, you don't necessarily need to be local to this area, correct?
No,
everything is remote.
Yes, nationwide.
Perfect.
Nationwide. We got a member that's about to move to the Philippines, and I'm like, hey, brother, we're gonna help you out in however we can. So
that's great.
He's I'm super excited about what Business Sergeant can bring to people's lives as far as the business portion, but also really the community and the wellness stuff get me jazzed up as well. So I think we're gonna help out a lot of folks.
Right on. And we'll just loosely put a plug in there, but I don't want this to be the last time that we talk. I'd love to network. We've got some ideas that we'll talk about later, but would love to network and maybe collaborate in some way with your background, your history, and hopefully put together something epic. So
yeah, absolutely. Sure. We're pretty flexible. I mean, like I said, we're looking for folks that want to help out other vets, and that comes in all shapes and sizes. So
absolutely,
it can be a very beautiful thing, and we're just getting started. So I have no idea what this is going to turn into. The baseline I feel like is pretty strong, but definitely a lot of possibilities. So be happy to collaborate with you.
That'd be awesome.
Hey, before we let you go, I've got a couple fun questions to ask you.
Sure. All right.
Lighten this up a little bit. Right. What is something that people would be surprised to learn about you, Michael?
About me?
Yeah.
Other than so probably something that's fun. So I've been married 21 years to my wife, Candace.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We have a 7-year-old daughter, Mila, who is an absolute blast. But my wife and I are both left-handed. And so we were married on National Left-Handers Day. We didn't know it at the time. It was on our first wedding anniversary. We were driving from Fort Bragg out to Charlotte to go have a nice dinner and spend the night out there. And we heard DJ on the radio. He's like, happy National Left-Handers Day. And we're looking at each other like, get out of here.
No way.
So we're married on National Left-Handers Day. And
you guys are meant to be.
Yeah, you could argue that. That's for sure. So I think that's a pretty cool thing.
That is cool.
That's awesome.
Congrats on 21 years. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's no small feat. No small feat at all.
Yeah, especially on active duty.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, my wife's
you're like a
rock.
A unicorn.
Yeah, no doubt.
Man, that's so cool. If you could have dinner with 3 people, living or dead, who would they be?
Yeah, so I saw this when you sent it to me.
Yeah,
really
I gave you a heads up because that's a hard question.
Yeah, it's a hard question. There's so many interesting people in the world that are obviously living now or dead. So I'd say Neil Armstrong, because that is being one of the first out there, and in outer space and on the moon.
That'd be
That's a super cool, like, to get somebody's perspective on that.
That's hard to top.
That's not something a lot of people get to experience.
No.
Yeah. So there's that. Marcus Aurelius, just based on his impact as far as a leader, specifically, he was the emperor of he's the emperor.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets to experience that, but the way that he went about that, as history shows, just a very to be in that position of power and kind of lead the way he did, I think is be a super interesting person.
Oh yeah,
I think that's an understatement.
Yeah,
definitely. I would say so.
And then Viktor Frankl, who's the author of what is it, Man's Search for Meaning, I believe is the name of the book. So it's a similar concepts to Suffer Up.
Okay.
He was a Holocaust survivor, and he wrote a book about that. So just
I'll have to read that one.
Yeah. It's super interesting. Book. It's you might want to bring the Kleenex for that one.
Really?
That's for sure. Yeah.
I bet it's tough.
So, but he talks about just finding purpose in your suffering.
Yeah.
Which is goes hand in hand with your podcast. So definitely
So
strong.
we have to read it.
Yeah,
now.
you have to read it. Yeah, absolutely have to read it. So I'm more than happy to make that recommendation for you.
Perfect. Cool.
So somebody that's lived through something like that, again, not something that a lot of people unfortunately get to experience, but that is just a fascinating perspective, because really, to be able to turn such a horrible experience into something positive, I think that's somebody that I want to meet.
Yeah, absolutely. That the mindset and resilience of a person like that has to be incredible.
Yeah. Read the book. You'll be, it's super inspiring. That's for sure. As far as like the mindset that he employed while he was going through, and obviously like with being surrounded by people that are suffering as well. So definitely at a minimal inspiring.
We just talked about resolutions on a previous recording here, and we're like, we need to read more was one of the things, and we'll definitely have to put it on the list and read it.
Okay. Yeah. It's not a super long book either. So
okay, cool.
Perfect.
He gets his, that's how I am. If I see like 400 pages, like, oh man, that's a lot.
Yeah, no.
But no, it's super. It's just a great book. Like it's one of those books that just touched my heart as I was reading it. So strongly recommend anybody that hasn't read that yet.
Okay,
nice. Cool. Well, one closing question for you, and that is, what's one message or thought that you would like to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, I think just the importance of if you're in a spot where I guess in essence of like the Suffer Up, if you are suffering, that just asking for help. Super. I think that's a super important concept. We're all struggling in some way, shape, or form, but nobody's going to know that you're struggling. So just being able to reach out and ask for help is definitely something that I would advocate for. And then also just checking in with your friends. Checking in, or people that are showing signs of they just might need a little bit of help, or you haven't talked to them in a while. Those small check-ins can go a long way to just helping people out, or uncovering some problems that maybe they're dealing with that they don't want to broadcast. So those two concepts are something that's been resonating with me lately. So that's kind of where my head's at.
Awesome. Absolutely love it.
Michael, thank you so much for coming on, man. We really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy life and talking to us about your life and everything that you've got coming up and going on. We believe in Business Sergeant. Like I said, I'm actively using it currently, so I definitely believe in it. I think it's a great thing, and it's going to help tons of veterans transition into their next adventure. So keep doing what you guys are doing. It's awesome.
Awesome. Thanks so much, and thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Absolutely. Thanks again, guys, for listening to this episode of the Suffer Up podcast with our guest, Michael. Please go to the description of this podcast, click on the links, and get plugged in with what we're doing and what Business Sergeant is doing. Again, we also have our Punch Out Ultra that will be happening February 21st, 2026. On our link tree, there's also a link for that. We'd love to see you guys out there. You can either run it, walk it, ruck it, crawl it. We don't care. Come on out. Meet our people and network with us, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. We love you all, and as always,
Suffer up.